Hello, welcome to the 1%. It's what's missing in your business. My name is Sophie Jones. We're going to have an honest conversation today about business growth, about healing, about survival patterns, about what happens for entrepreneurs, business owners, and people really in sales. Anyone that gets compensated for results in their business, right? So you're not on salary. So you get commission at some point, or you own the business, or you have salespeople underneath you. What is missing in your business, and exactly why I created the 1% method. I think it's brilliant. I know it's genius. I've been doing it for 4 years with people from oil and gas to coaches to people to people that own title businesses, to people that own insurance businesses, to people that are in real estate, to people that are in recruiting, to executives and sales positions and waste management, to people that are in marketing agencies. So it's been a large demographic of people that I've helped with this method, and it's your turn. So here we are. About 4 years ago, when I started my coaching business, I saw a massive gap in the coaching industry. It was so apparent to me. So I had been paying for coaches since I was 23 years old. So I'm 38 now. And so think about that. And so I had been paying for actual business coaches to help me grow my real estate business since I was 23 years old. And really a lot of that coaching was brilliant because it was so results driven. So it put the pressure on me to learn how to handle objections, to learn how to speak, to learn how to read body language, to learn how to run a business, to learn how to be consistent, to learn how to be disciplined. A lot of that was going on and allowed me to really do the back end of my business, which a lot of people don't do well. And I was able to master that along with the front end of lead generation and understanding, the objections are all the same really in any industry. It's time and money are the two biggest ones that we always see. And really that is always overcome with value and how much value you're bringing to the market, and are you the solution, and are they willing? Because if someone has a big enough problem and you're offering the solution, they'll pay whatever, depending on, what the problem, how big the problem is, if you will. And so I learned all of that and was so lucky to have learned that at a relatively young age. And at 32, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm successful and I have a massive drinking problem. And I've built these businesses, in Utah and North Carolina and twice in Texas. And I cold call and I get up at 5 and I go to the gym and I do scripts and role play, and strangers hire me all the time to sell their houses. And I look pretty, and I'm at the hottest happy hours, and my marriage at that time had failed. And I'm like, what is going on? Why can't I actually get further than where I was at? And I see it so common with entrepreneurs or people that are in any type any type of sales industry, is you get to a glass ceiling of really your emotional intelligence and your emotional awareness. It's like you cannot outperform what you cannot see. You cannot work on things that you aren't aware of. And so when clients would come to me, or even back then when I would be triggered, right, and I didn't have the coping mechanisms and I didn't have the tools, I would literally just do what I knew best, right, which was either to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And that looked in different behaviors, like just avoidance altogether of my clients, or being on all the time for my clients, or just completely checking out and having one too many cocktails, and these behaviors all of a sudden were so common with other people. It was like, whether it was going home and getting in a massive fight with your spouse because you didn't feel seen and heard and didn't feel respected, versus, having clients that you felt like were totally walking all over you. Whatever that looked like, it was like your only level of awareness, is the way in which you'll grow your business. And then your self-worth was wrapped up in that, or my self-worth was wrapped up in that. And that made it very hard to get past a certain level. It was actually bringing me back further. I was regressing, it felt like, in my coping mechanisms because my stress was growing. And so as I saw that, I was like, wow, that is, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've paid over $100,000 in business coaching at this point. And nobody Like, not one of those coaches for over a decade was like, hey, there is a direct correlation to what's going on with you personally. I mean, they all knew that in your business, but like, we also need to understand where that's coming from and why that's coming from, and all this unresolved baggage and trauma. Like, you need to work on that because it's going to be the weight that you carry around. And so as soon as I knew that when I launched my coaching business, I was like, because I was getting certified in breath work, I was like, I'm bringing nervous system healing into all of my coaching, period, the end. Because even if you don't feel like you have a lot of healing to do, you are definitely living in your sympathetic, your survival state of your nervous system way more often than you would think. And so when I take you out of that intentionally, and it's why it was missing for so many people, is it's like, you feel safe when you don't feel like there is this underlying risk going on in your life all the time. And you feel safe to show up as yourself, to make big moves, to trust your gifts, to sell, to know that you have the value to, make the, take the queen on the chessboard, if you will, right? Like, you can see it. But if you can't see it because you're in survival, then you stay looping on your stories of, oh my gosh, is there going to be enough money? Or, oh my gosh, what's going on with my home life, or whatever, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm doing breath work with every single client, period, the end. And after 4 years of doing this and helping clients grow from their brand new business to crossing 6 figures, to crossing multiple 6 figures, to crossing 7 figures, to learning how to hire and fire, to learning how to build teams that can get behind your mission, to doing all of that, right? To building brands and being known for things, to helping people get out of their own way, but also have clear goals that they are working towards, that they are not in the survival sprint, they are in their $1 million marathon. They know how to build that. They were also doing this really deep healing work, that they were coming home to themselves, so that when they were presented with new opportunities, that their nervous system in the past would self-sabotage, right? And go, ooh, whatever your story is, either retreat or overperform or whatever, you could show up and just go, of course this would be happening for me. Of course I would be deserving of this. And so as I watched people heal, and as I watched people go, I'm happy in my marriage, or we decided to split ways, and I'm so happy that I'm no longer unhappy, or I'm healing my relationship with my kids because all I did was work when they were little, right? Or let me think of other ones. I'm healing my relationship with myself. I see that my worth is so much greater than, all the stress I put myself through and all this money that I make, because I didn't really have anyone show me my worth when I was being raised. I didn't really have anyone in the business space show me how to feel worthy. And so as I incorporated that, I started to watch business owners and entrepreneurs and people that worked with me absolutely flourish. They were no longer stuck in this sense of survival, but also success. Right? And then they started to attract the perfect people at the perfect time, these God moments, God synchronicities, right? They started to go, oh my gosh, I am no longer scared. I'm no longer living in fear. I mean, as a business owner and as an entrepreneur or a leader in sales, you have to be able to trust yourself. You have to be able to make the right moves. And even if they're not the right moves, you have to be able to make those moves right? You have to be able to carry that level of stress. And when you have this nervous system regulation and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm brilliant, and I know the value I bring to the marketplace, and I know how to market myself, and people come to me all the time and they're like, oh, I heard you were the person for this. And watching people go from forcing and basically, taking the castle with a sledgehammer to literally showing up and people going, oh, you're obviously the industry leader because you are comfortable in your own skin, because you know who you are in any circumstance, in any room, because you're not wearing any mask of, I'm fine, everything's good. And you really know how to be a savvy business person because you're working with a business coach that has built 4 businesses and working on my 5th one or in my 5th one, and that is willing to hold you accountable to higher standards. One of the best things that business coaches, I was just left a podcast that I was on where we recorded live downtown. And I just said, one of the best things that my business coaches ever did for me was they held me to a higher standard that I wasn't really willing to hold to myself to yet, but I knew that I needed to be held to that standard in order to get to the person I wanted to become. you know? And when I did that and do that with clients, they really do become the 1%. They really start to go, wow, I'm a whole different person from the inside out, right? I say it's healed, happy, healthy, and wealthy, but that's the truth of it. It's like, we don't do any of this so that we can be miserable. Like, I've had success and been super miserable. And the reality is your success and your calling or your gifts, or if you're in sales and you're like, I just want to dominate in that industry, you know, you're just like full beast mode. I'm like, that is amazing, because I want you to go to bed at night and be like, I am so satisfied with the work I'm doing. And I know that people are always coming to hire me because I know how to position myself. I know how to show the market the value that I bring. I know how to become highly compensated. I know how to run the back end of my business. I have the systems in place. I have the team in place, but I also know who I am, right? And so in the 1% mastermind, if you're like, I need that, I am craving that, I don't feel that in my business, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Like, I am posting and praying. I am making sales calls. I am getting nowhere, right? Like, I am showing up and I'm so hyper independent. I don't let anyone help me. And this is just continually keeping me in this place of survival, right? Like, I have to do it all on my own. I want to encourage you, as I open the enrollment today for the pre-sale pricing for a very small period of time, that you really ask yourself, where do you want to be in the next 6 months? Do you want to be just trying to make it? Do you want to be just staying busy? Or do you want to be so locked in, so rock solid, so committed to leaving the 99 and becoming the one, and being in a group of people that are like-minded business owners who are rising with revenue and refinement just like you? So it will drop later today in my stories. And when it does, this is your opportunity to change the entire trajectory of your business and your life, to heal the stories that have held you back while you rise, right? While you refine, and while you absolutely dominate and crush whatever industry you're in. And you better believe I'm going to hold you to a standard that you would never, ever, ever think was possible. But on the other side of it, you're going to feel like the Michael Jordan of your industry. You're going to be like, wow, that was so powerful. Also, if you're interested, like, who are you? Yeah, like, what are your credentials? I have so many reviews in my highlights. You can just go binge my reviews, binge my work. And I will see you with the rest of us in the 1%.